And good evening to everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you this evening. And I want to say thank you to uh, Brother TC and all of our partners for this wonderful resource that's being offered to the church and the broader community for it's been a couple of years now, hasn't it? And and certainly the feedback and the attendance both indicate the usefulness of the information and the timeliness of the various topics that are presented. And so I want to thank and commend you all for continuing to provide this very important resource. Tonight, we're going to be um, approaching, as TC said earlier, a topic we're all familiar with, but perhaps tonight and in the next session, we'll look at it just a little differently. And so if I can share my screen, tonight we're going to be discussing home for the holidays. And of course, you've invited a pastor preacher, and so my sacred text is the word of God, right? And I don't apologize for that. I thought in my conversation with TC that this was a very unique and necessary approach and angle to this conversation as we approach the holidays. We're just a few weeks away from Thanksgiving and not far away from Christmas. And many of us are perhaps already thinking about what Christmas looks like to us this year. And many of us have been informed by various systems that were shaped by our families of origin, by the culture we reside in, and many other internal as well as external influences. But I really want to just take a moment tonight and kind of nudge us, think about this home for the holidays in a different perspective. We live in a world that is that stresses commercialism and consumerism in a way that I would say few other countries do. And many of us are caught in the rat race of achieving things and toys and technology that makes life more exciting and in some cases more efficient. At the same time, this whole commercialized society that's sometimes driven by consumerism can also leave us empty and not as focused on the things that really matter as we should be. And we can find ourselves um, giving our time, our energy, and our resources to things that do not last, things that have a short shelf life and do not bring the lasting satisfaction and fulfillment that's most important to the kind of life I think we want to live. And so I want to suggest a few things tonight. And as we think about this whole notion of home for the holidays, what the holidays mean to us, our approach to celebrating the holiday, I want to challenge us tonight to think a little differently about three focuses we might consider to make the holidays more meaningful, more fulfilling, and more enriching, us as individuals, as families, and as a community and a greater society at large. So I want to suggest first that as we plan the holidays and as we begin to develop our shopping list and the things that we want to purchase for family members and the things that we secretly want our family members to purchase for us, that we may consider shifting our focus to, first of all, focusing on our faith. We live in a world that sells us noise. And while life is changing, and I was just talking with a good friend of mine last night. I'm 63 years old, and so from a generation where the toys were a little different in the 60s, and we were talking about the football game. Some of y'all might remember that electronic football game where you would line those men up on the line of scrimmage and then push the little button and the vibration would start and they would start blocking and tackling. If you know anything about that, put it in the chat. And then it was also the time of Rock'em Sock'em Robots. And it was a time where kids rode bicycles and went roller skating on Sunday morning, depending upon where you lived. You could hear those wheels outside of your apartment complex or on the street, roller skates up and down the street, bicycles, Rock'em Sock'em Robots, the football game I just mentioned. And Christmas was a noisy day as kids unwrapped their gifts and and began to play with their favorite toys. Well, you know, the same can be said about adults, and while the noise may not be a literal noise from toys, it's a noise of pressure and excitement and enthusiasm and expectations and television shows and news cycles. The world sells us noise, but I truly believe that the holidays can be a time to slow down and focus on our faith. Focusing on our faith calls us to slow down in a world that is filled with hurry and worry, hustle and bustle. We have to get up and go. We have to compete. We have to keep an edge on the competition. But focusing on our faith calls us to slow down. I think you will recall that the word holiday really actually comes from holy day, and there was a time when our focus was on the holiness of the days, whether it was Thanksgiving or Christmas. The very first Christmas, if we are Christians and believe in the Bible, the very first Christmas wasn't loud or luxurious. There was no technology to be exchanged, no latest Apple product. There was no new laptop to expect. But the first Christmas was humble and holy. No crowds, no credit cards, no chaos, just a young couple in a dark stable and a newborn king. The quiet glory of heaven touching the earth. What would that look like, I wonder, in our society? No crowds, no credit cards, no chaos. What would that look like in our society? And so think about the first Christmas and how it began with simplicity, not a mall, but a manger, a baby in a manger, here to redeem us from our sins. What if we were to really focus on this first Christmas, which was not about God's presence, but about his presence? And that presence is seen in his name. You shall call his name Emmanuel. The correct pronunciation of it is Emmanuel, meaning with us, God. Emmanuel. That was the first Christmas gift for us all. It was God being with us. When we take this approach to focusing on the holidays, it really can help turn our greed into gratitude because we begin to think about what's most important. And the most important gift that we can ever receive is the gift of God's salvation made possible and present through his son, Jesus Christ. God with us. So my challenge in this first part of the presentation tonight is to use this time of Christmas, being home for the holidays, to pause. Now, I know I'm asking a lot, to just to pause. And I would tell you, and many of you that are on tonight know me very well, and you're probably thinking, he knows how to pause. Does he pause? I would encourage us to pause, to reflect, which takes energy, effort, and intentionality. Reflecting doesn't come automatically. It's something we have to decide to do. Pause, push the pause button, stop the rat wheel, or the it's not a rat on the wheel, it's a gerbil, isn't it? On the wheel. Just kind of stop that wheel for a moment and take the sacred opportunity to recenter our heads, on God's presence. And you say, so how do we do that? We do that by taking advantage of this time of the year to pause, to worship, to pray, to trust. And how necessary is this in a world where there is war in Ukraine, in the Middle East, where there is political divisiveness in our own country, a government shutdown, families wondering how they're going to put food on the table, Thanksgiving, Christmas right around the corner. There's stress and strife, division and divisiveness. What an important time to focus on our faith. Exchanging gifts, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I am suggesting that we may reconsider our priorities and what becomes most important to us. So in focusing on our faith, it enables us to renew our faith, to restore our hope in a time that could really feel very hopeless. When we're waiting for leaders to cooperate and collaborate, to put their personal agendas aside, for those who have little, moderate, or no power or influence at all, and whose lives are literally at the mercy of those who make decisions in our country, we need the restoration of hope in a time that can seem utterly hopeless. So we pause to renew our faith, to restore our hope, and refocus our hearts on what's really important. I hope you're preparing your questions. I would love to engage with those at the end of the presentation. So my encouragement and challenge is that we would first of all focus on our faith. In addition to focusing on our faith, I would encourage us to focus on our families. If you think about it, the family was the first human creation that God created, the first human institution, that God created. The family is the foundation of society. Before there were governments, before there were municipalities or militaries or corporations, there was family. Please excuse me. I apologize. I apologize. The first human institution was the family. For governments, municipalities, militaries, corporations, there was family. It's the foundation of society, but I think many of us will agree that the foundation is crumbling in many aspects. When we look at the busyness of our society, when we look at fading family values, the hustle to succeed, have turned us inward and produced what I often refer to as Western rugged individualism. It sounds like this: I got mine, you got to get yours. Or, as some of you are accustomed to me saying, get all you can all you get, sit on the can, forget all the rest. Think about the pressure that's on our family. Think about the eroding values in our society. Think about the challenge to marriages and leaders of households. Think about the economic stress, the issues dealing with security and safety and gun laws and school shootings, and the number of our children that are diagnosed far too early with mental health challenges because of the growing stress and the stressful issues that we contend with on a daily basis. I think you will agree that it's time to pause and focus on our family relationships, the health of our families, the durability of our families, the effectiveness of our parents. And so as God sent his son to reconcile the world to himself, we are too called to be agents of reconciliation. And that reconciliation should start in our families of origin, healing, forgiving, and strengthening the bonds that make families sacred. So the holidays give us a sacred pause, a chance to step away from the noise of consumerism and reconnect with what truly matters. I wonder what the conversations were in our homes when we woke up 2 days ago or 3 days ago, woke up that morning to this big problem with Amazon. Oh my God. I wonder what the shock waves were like across not just America, across the country when Amazon experienced, and I don't know exactly what the issues were, but I know it impacted my account. I wonder what became most important when we received that news. Maybe it's time to rekindle the family so that things like Amazon doesn't become the God we worship or the thing that brings us hope and health and happiness. So I'll say it again. The holidays give us a sacred pause, a chance to step away from the noise of consumerism and reconnect with what truly matters. It's not just about exchanging gifts, but about exchanging grace, a time to rekindle relationships, to listen more, to talk more, to communicate more, to spend quality time together, to forgive more, to love deeper, because these are the things that transcend time. These are the things that transcends the latest gadgets. Relationships, healthy relationships, conversations, the expression of love, care, and affirmation. Pouring into each other and helping each other to become all that we can become and to exercise our full human agency, to minimize our strengths, to maximize our weaknesses, and do what one writer calls, whenever we have healthy families, we multiply our joys and we divide our sorrows. I would challenge and encourage us to focus on family. Here's what it looks like: reconnecting, reaching out to someone you haven't talked to in a while. How would you like to receive that call? From a grandchild, niece or nephew, extended family member? I'm going to challenge you to reconnect this year as you're home for the holidays. Reach out to someone you haven't talked to in a while. And then, in addition to reconnection, it's reconciliation, letting go of past hurts, forgiving, letting the slate be clean, talking through the pain and committing yourself to restoration. And then renewal, Remember that family is not a gift. I mean, I'm sorry, family is a gift, not a guarantee. And so renewal has to be done intentionally. It's not accidentally, it's not haphazardly, it doesn't happen automatically. I think it would be a powerful way to be home for the holidays, to reconnect, to reconcile, and to renew those relationships and fellowship, to revisit the rich past history of your family. Talk about what makes your family unique and special, and let it be the gift you exchange with other family members. Here's the third part. We focus on our faith, we focus on our family, and we focus on the future. The holidays are not a time to look back, not just a time to look back with gratitude, but also an opportunity to look forward with great expectation. As one year comes to a close and another begins, God gives us a divine opportunity to pause, to pray, and to plan. It's a season to ask, where is my life headed? Now, I will admit, I start this every year in October, just a personal reference. And I will tell you that it is automatic. It isn't something, it is almost as if it's just a switch that turns on at the beginning of October. And immediately I go into reflection mode. And I begin to think back about the last 9 months of the year, how I've fared, what I've done well, what I've done poorly, where I've not kept up with my commitments or plans for the year, and how am I going to get back in alignment with the direction I believe God is leading me in every role of my life as a human being, an individual, a husband, father, grandfather, pastor, community servant, friend, brother to my siblings, every single role. I seek to pause and pray and plan. Where's my life headed? Where am I in this season? I mentioned a moment ago, I'm 63, I'll be 64 in December. Where should my focus be? What kind of legacy do I want to leave? How can I continue to prepare those who will assume leadership when it's my time to pass the baton? What is God calling me to build in the days ahead? This is focusing on the future. This is important. This can't get this from Amazon. All right. Focusing on your future means refusing to let your past define your potential. Whatever's happened this year or years before, it means believing that God has more in store. There's a song we sing now that says, I'm alive because there's more. I'm still alive because there's more. God has more in store. And our best days are not behind us, but before us. So focusing on the future then calls for faith, faith to dream again, faith to start again, faith to hope again. Isn't that exciting? I mean, for me, that's more exciting than any gift that can come under the tree. Faith to dream again, where sometimes our dreams have been shattered because of disappointment, because of things beyond our control, because of mistakes, because of fragmented friendships or relationships, or whatever comes with the human condition. But the future calls for faith, faith to dream again, to start again, to hope again. What if we had those conversations around the Christmas table, the Thanksgiving table? What if we had an opportunity to talk about resetting our priorities and renewing our vision? Remembering that every ending can be the beginning of something extraordinary in light of all the things that's going on. But it requires us to shift our focus. And to rebuild relationships that sometimes even technology has worn down. So as we focus on the future, the holidays can be the launching pad for a new and intentional year. Looking back and reflecting on the past can be so filled with joy, but focusing on the future is an opportunity not just to look back in nostalgia, but to look ahead in hope. And I love that word hope. That word, saying it, gives me hope. It gives a kind of energy and expectation. Please excuse me. And so shifting that focus to what God is calling us to be or to improve or pursue in the new year, that's a good question to focus on as we plan for the holidays. And planning that quiet time, that's a perfect time to dream again and to pray for a brighter future. I know you're getting to the money stuff and the economic stuff in the next conversation. I really want to talk about the stuff that I think matters most and lays the foundation and provides the impetus for how we make those other decisions that are more quote unquote economic in nature. So what can we do as we gather, as we plan to gather with family and celebrate this season? Let it be a time of preparation for new opportunities, open doors, and divine assignments that await us in the year to come. So we don't just go into the future, but we grow into it with expectation, with clear priorities, with focus, with family as a priority, and gratitude as our driver.